So I gave Claude Opus 5 and ChatGPT 5.6 Sol the same 3 jobs. And I counted every dollar spent. Everyone else runs these tests in the terminal, but I ran mine in Claude Cowork and ChatGPT Work with no code whatsoever. 3 tests, all the costs, all the token usage, and the one test that cost 15 times more to produce a very similar results. Let's dig in. If you're new here, I'm Victor. I built and sold a 50-person company before I turned 25. Then I worked at companies like Apple, Adobe, and Cisco. Over the past 3 years, I've used AI to run every part of my life. And on this channel, I share the exact workflows that I use daily. Now, back to that 15x price hike. So if you watched my last video, you know I spent time watching the best comparison videos on YouTube. And quite honestly, there are some solid picks out there. But, and it's a big but, they at the end of the day hand you their opinion. And I wanted to know the actual cost bill of running these different tests. Once the comments started flooding in and people asked what the different tests cost, some just deferred it and some simply just went back to the model and asked what it cost. Which kind of works, but a model actually doesn't know what the last session cost. So what I did, which was boring and took a ton of time, is I built a skill that actually reads the real number off of my own local machine to really, truly know what a task or a skill or a test cost to run. I'm going to share that with you for free at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so my rules were pretty simple and I kept them super strict on purpose. Every test, 3 in total, is one simple paste into a brand new chat, a brand new context window, so no setup, no follow-ups, no tied folders. I just hit go and walked away. All 3 tests ran on the highest setting of the model, or the high setting rather. So it was equal between Opus 5 and GPT 5.6 Sol. And I ran everything from within Claude Cowork and ChatGPT's work mode, which is ChatGPT's equivalent of Claude Cowork. So I didn't go into Codex and I didn't go into Claude Code, which every other tester does, because at the end of the day, I am a non-technical builder person. So the normal apps, the ones you'd open if you don't write any code. Oh, and one more thing, because you'll probably notice it, there is one third model in there, Fable 5, the expensive one, as we all know. And it's only in one of the 3 tests. So I put it in the cheapest test, and the only one I could afford at double the rate, essentially. So that's some foreshadowing before we even seen any numbers. And I didn't really want to do too much with Fable 5 because that model is definitely going to be rolling out, especially as all of you guys with Pro plans don't have access to Fable 5 anymore. So just wanted to kind of give you that caveat. So I believe that the second you start helping a model along or helping it out, you're not really testing the model anymore. So I just did one paste, cold start, and that's all I actually gave each LLM. Eventually, 7 builds landed on my desk, finished results, numbers and everything, and it turns out I had a bit of a problem. So ultimately, I can't really grade the test results myself, because most likely I'd probably unconsciously pick the one I wanted to win. So what I did instead was to hand all of the test results over to the competitive LLM model. So that means every model got the whole set in a plain zip, no names on it. And here's the bit I really like. Each LLM model or each AI blind graded its own work as well without actually knowing it. And that held up really well for 2 out of the 3 tests that we're running today. But on the 3rd test, it kind of fell apart, and I'll just show you where. And just a small note on the money side, I actually never asked any of the models anything. These chats actually write a log file on your machine with every turn and every token in that log file. So what I did was use Claude Cowork to write a small script that reads this log file and adds it up. So same maths on both sides. So whether you're in Claude Cowork or ChatGPT Work, it's going to work exactly the same. It's going to give us the actual accurate cost figures. So instead of asking the machine, we simply just read the usage meter. And that might sound small, but that is the gap between a number you can actually verify that we know is true and one that's semi-hallucinated by the LLM. So I built a skill that can do this for anyone, and I've named it the cost meter, and it's yours for free. Link in the description below so that you can run this on your own chat and tasks whenever you feel like. Alright, that's enough yapping on my side, so into the first tests. I asked both LLMs to build a museum you could actually walk around in. 6 different rooms, one for each time period of paintings, with a light above every painting. And the pretty cool part that I think is it pulls the real paintings straight off of Wikipedia while your page is still loading. So this is nothing that I found on a GitHub. I obviously got some inspiration of what other people have done, but this is a purely unique test for Opus 5 and ChatGPT 5.6 Sol. So make sure you have a proper look at what the 2 different demos look like before we dive into what it actually costs in time and money to build these tests out. Alright, so here is test number 1 and we're starting out with Opus 5. Let's see what we got going here. Shift to sprint, I can even sprint, mouse to look. Alright, click artwork, okay. Now I'm walking, now I'm sprinting, let's go. I can scroll, I have some kind of source. Oh, okay, so it's pulling everything from Wikipedia. That's pretty cool. Okay. What is this? Gallery 1, Gothic and Early Netherlandish. Can I press this as well? No, I can't. Even got lights and everything. Let's see what we got if we go on over here. Is it other rooms? Alright, so now we're in the early Renaissance. Okay. This I have actually seen before. What is this really? It's the Bird of Venus. Of course. Should have known. I like the sprinting feature. That is a big plus. I like also how the lights, do they dim out when I walk away? This guy looks a bit sad. This is not good. It's not a good look. Alright, I understand now why it was sad. It was the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. High Renaissance, mannerism, see if we recognize anything in here. I want to make sure I navigate through every room. This one I recognize, but maybe that gets demonetized, I don't know. Girl with the pearl earring, okay. Had no idea that was the name, but good to know, good to know. This is Baroque, okay. Uh-oh, now I have a problem. Because now it's not only, this is where I came from, I guess. Now we're moving to High Renaissance and Manner. No, here's where I came from. God damn it, I've lost myself in the museum. Okay, here's where we're going. Okay, now we're talking. What is this then? This is Rococo. Okay. Wow, this is a beautiful piece. Actually, this is pretty cool. The swig. That's a cool piece. I know nothing about art, but that was a pretty cool piece. Seems to be some kind of weird artifacts going on in the top of the screen here. But I mean, this goes on forever. I'm just gonna speed run this a little bit now. Okay, cool. More painting. Oh, this was the last room. Oh. I didn't even notice. I even have a map of where I am. Okay, super cool. Let's now see what ChatGPT put together. Walk through 6 centuries of painting. Every work is selected live from Wikimedia Commons and enriched by Wikipedia as the doors open. Alright, I pressed enter the museum. I'm not sure if it's like loading or what happened. Let's give it a little bit of time. Bit of a bummer. This doesn't really seem to work. I'll pause this recording, I'll see if I can make it work, and then I'll get back to you guys. And if I can't, then we're back to the presentation. Alright, ChatGPT 5.6 Sol, second time's charm. There we go, now we can actually enter, alright. I can instantly see that it's mirrored, so if I move my mouse to the right, it looks to the left. The issue here is that I cannot see anything really. I can sprint in this one as well, but it's almost impossible to navigate this. And there are also no data points, so let me give it one more shot. I will be back. I'll try one more time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Alright, final shot to see if we can get this working with ChatGPT 5.6 Sol. Enter the museum, and what do you know? I cannot turn properly, but now we at least can see some cool pictures. I cannot see like the other picture here, which is a bit annoying, but yeah, never mind that. Yeah, it's definitely hard to navigate in this game. Okay, this data point looks more readable. The other one was like a headline all over the place. We're now in romanticism. We don't have a map. The Opus 5 was definitely better with the map. All in all, other than that, this one doesn't have any graphical artifacts in the roof. Opus 5 is definitely the winner at this point in time. You can also see that the sign seems to be backwards. So I guess this is it for ChatGPT 5.6 Sol. I definitely rate Opus 5 being the winner here. One final note, I just realized when I pressed into a picture and did view source, it turns out that everything is actually backwards in this museum. So every single painting and every single sign, including the way I look left and right, is actually backwards. So you can see this guy, pressing it, going to view source, he's sitting in the opposite direction. Again, Opus wins. Back to the presentation. Alright, so what everyone has been waiting for is the actual result. We're looking at 3 areas. Scoring, where the models scored each other, remember? Cost, what it actually cost in money to build this if we used APIs. And then time, how long it took to build it. So Opus 5 was scored the highest by both models. 5.6 Sol from ChatGPT actually, as you guys saw, didn't even manage to finish the proper solution until I tweaked it like 3-4 times, and even then it wasn't fully functioning because the cursor was looking the wrong way. Looking at cost, however, it's pretty interesting. Opus 5 landed around $50 and GPT 5.6 Sol at $3. Those $3 are not really accurate though, because it cost me more when I had to reiterate it 2-3 times. So it probably landed closer to $15. But still, it's a massive difference versus Opus 5. It's essentially 1/5 of the cost at least. And finally, time. This is the interesting one. And this is the test that had the biggest time gap difference. It took Opus 5 4 hours to build this out. I mean, it looked really well and it worked perfectly, so I'm happy with that. 5.6 Sol obviously shipped a product that didn't even work. And with all the revisions, it didn't actually take 16 minutes. It took closer to 30 minutes, but it's still a very, very small fraction of the time that it took Opus to build. So this is something we need to kind of keep in mind here. So as said, the $3.40 or $7-8 at the end of the day didn't actually bring us the museum we wanted. It just brought us a build that didn't really work. And as you guys saw, every painting, every sign, and even how I turned with my mouse left and right was swapped or mirrored the wrong way. So that wasn't really what we asked for. And that was after multiple retries. So in this test, we asked the LLMs to build 3 separate physics toys in one unified file. No libraries, so it writes the maths itself, a jelly blob that you can poke, 2 galaxies crashing into one another, and a room full of prisms that split light into some kind of a rainbow pattern. And this is the cheapest test, so just for the giggles of it, I also threw in Fable 5 in this one. One of the LLMs, of the 3 ones competing here, cost 11 times more what the other ones did, and maybe you can guess which one. So yeah, let's dive right into the test. Alright, so let's jump into test number 2, where we built a physics toy. We're going to start looking at Opus 5. This is Opus 5, what it looks like. I don't even know what the test is, so okay, pretty cool I guess. Drag to grab and stretch. It breathes when left alone. Oh, okay, it's slightly, like got this slightly pulsing thing. You can see when it's grabbed, and you see like the shape it has. Alright, that's pretty cool. Then you have galaxy collision. Can I impact these? No. Okay. 10,000 bodies. Barnes hot quadrant Barnes hut quad tree. I don't think I can interact with this one, but yeah, it's pretty bonkers that this is running at 60 FPS. Alright, so the final thing, ray optics. This is working on my cursor. Move the pointer to carry the light. Drag a prism. Okay. Oh, okay, so this is the light. Whoa, that's funky. Okay. That's the light source. Oh, so now I'm moving the light source around. Oh, okay, I get it. And then I can move the different things around so that the light source jumps differently. Okay. Drag a prism. Wheel to rotate it. Wait, I don't have a mouse. Oh, I can scroll up and down. I have my touchpad. Alright, that's pretty cool. So let's jump over to Fable 5 and see if Fable 5 made these 3 physics toys better. Alright, we're back at it. Same test here in Fable 5. Okay, first of all, this is way cooler than the first one, I would say. Okay, man, that's pretty cool. This is insane. to have like a one-shot prompt that built this. Okay, this is super cool. So I can poke it, drag it, stretch it, release to recover. Okay, so it's a similar thing okay, this is definitely the leader for now in my mind. This specific test, the soft body, this is way better than Opus 5, I would say, just by my own personal like taste and preference. That's super, super cool. Can I press? No, I cannot press. Okay. Let's go to Galaxy Collision. Looking similar, but it looks more crisp. It looks more high resolution, I guess. Oh, we even got the like screen shake going on here. All right. I can already say that this is also way cooler than the Opus 5 version, for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is way more crisp. It seems like it's more particles, but maybe it's the same. The only thing is I don't have as many data points on this one as I had on the other one. So let's see what Fable 5 did with the ray tracer. It looks extremely similar, but when you look at like the small nuances, this is still, I still feel this is better. This one I couldn't scroll though, but I mean, that's of less relevance. Oh, can I pull this as well? No. I mean, this is more crisp for sure. All right, so that's Fable 5, and now let's jump over to ChatGPT 5.6 Sol on high level. All right, we are back, and now with GPT 5.6 Sol. First of all, this looks way nicer from a design perspective. I just have to say that. Based on this, we see like the spring mass system, elastic matter, a pressure-filled lattice. Every wobble is energy moving through dampening springs. Okay, dude, okay. I mean, this to me looks equally good to Fable 5, and what in my mind has this be even cooler than Fable 5 is the fact that you have like the small design elements around it, and obviously that's not massive for the actual like physics test itself, but I mean that's definitely super, super cool for like a one-shot prompt. So for now, I actually think GPT 5.6 Sol is the leader in the soft body test. Let's see what it does with Galaxy Collision. Okay. Bit disappointed there. Nothing really happened. It was only like the middle parts of them had collided, and now it's like pulling in the small anti-gravity parts or whatever it's called. Maybe this was what it was supposed to look like. I don't know, because now there seems to be smaller clusters being gathered as well, like pulling stuff in, and then it's like this bigger cluster pulling everything in, which I think is pretty cool. But I do think the Fable 5 version looked more crisp, especially with the collision. So Fable 5 wins on the collision. GPT 5.6 Sol still leads on the soft body. So now let's see ray tracing for GPT 5.6. Okay, this looks a bit cleaner in the sense that I see easier where the different light sources move. The other tests looked a bit messy, if that makes sense. So this is pretty hard. I mean, this is clearly doing the same job. It's clearly working. So I cannot make up my mind, if I'm gonna be honest, if this is better or worse than Fable 5. I think it's different flavors, I guess. Fable 5 probably had more complexity to it, is my guess. I'm just basing that on the fact that it was more lines. So yeah, there we go. That's the test for GPT 5.6 Sol. All right, so time to reveal the scores again. On score, we have got Opus on 85 points, Fable on 82, and GPT on 74. On cost, paid around $25 for Opus, $46 for Fable, and $4 for ChatGPT. And in this test, there were no revisions, so these are the actual costs. And on time, Opus spent around 2 hours, Fable 45 minutes, and ChatGPT 20 minutes. So the most expensive one came in second. And I mean, that's actually worth considering for a moment. Because what it all comes down to, if we looked at the test, or when I looked at it, sure, Opus wins on most. So when it all comes down to it, I mean, I really liked Fable and GPT Sol here. And given that it's 11 times cheaper than the most expensive model, I think that says quite a lot. There isn't one model that can do everything. different models are good at different things, and we need to kind of understand as we move forward which model is good at what. And that's why I think it's really good to have an LLM agnostic system like the one I have, where I can just point the system or the LLM, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Kimi K3 or anything, to my files. It knows everything about me and it can just pick up and start working straight away. So the interesting takeaway here is that when I looked at the demo, I liked the GPT 5.6 Sol blob the best. I think that just looks the best. The blobs were equally between that and Fable 5, but with some extra elements. I really rated that as number one. On the Galaxy, I think Fable 5 did the best job. On the Prisms, I couldn't even pick one. But for me, when I looked at the test, Opus didn't win in any category in this specific test. But when the LLMs themselves blind graded each other and their own work, Opus actually came out pretty far ahead. And then you had Fable with GPT 5.6 Sol at the end, which was essentially the flip script of what I saw, which is an interesting takeaway when you're asking the LLMs to grade each other. How a human and how a robot grades, or how an AI grades, it's quite different. So as I mentioned, I had the LLMs grade not just the competitors' work, but also their own work. And this is a pretty interesting, I guess, insight here, because ChatGPT gave itself 18 points more than both Fable and Opus did. Fable came in at 10 points and Opus simply 3. So Opus was very fair towards all the tests, whilst GPT 5.6 Sol liked its own work a lot more than especially Opus, but also even Fable. So I think the takeaway here is that one judge alone, one single LLM alone, isn't really worth that much when it comes to grading if we're going to use the LLMs for actually grading coding work and work like this. And I haven't seen anyone else talk about it, so I figured I just had to mention it. All right, test number 3, and this is the one I actually wanted to see and also share with you guys. So I asked the LLMs to invent a programming language, then build a game engine on that language, and then build a real game within that language. So there's no repo I copied to do this, because this coding language or development language didn't even exist an hour before I recorded this video, and right now it just sits locally on my computer. I actually got this idea from a comment at another YouTube video that had like 4,000 likes and nobody actually answered it. And I honestly didn't know if either of the LLMs could actually pull this off, so let's see what happens. This is the third test, and this is probably the one I'm the most excited about. So we will start out with Claude. So let's see, we are in Blit, a small language whose primitives are frames, scenes, actors, and collisions. Rift Runner, the game. We press space to descend. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is the way to do it. I steer with one hand and then I... Oh. Vad fan? Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, here's the armored ones. I'm just collecting the green ones. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm already at a cramp with my left index finger for shooting, and I am slowly dying. Rift collapse, score 2,553, reached wave 6, survived 65 seconds. Wow, guys, what do you know? For now, we don't need to run it again, but that was pretty cool. I'm very impressed. So let's move on to GPT 5.6 Sol and see what that came up with. All right, we're in Flickr, the game. Flickr is a small interpreted language for frame-driven 2D games. I'm not going to dig too much into this. I'm just going to try the game out. Wait. How do I shoot? Oh, it's space. I'm shooting with space. Am I supposed to take the green things? Yeah. Final score, 214. I think I need to restart this because I kind of screwed up. Okay, I collect the green things. It's eerily similar to the other ones, but I honestly think Opus 5 did a better job. I really like this version, but I think Opus 5 did a better job at making it like more dynamic with armor and all that stuff. Cool, we tried both games. That's it for test number 3. Now back to the presentation. So still same bars as last time. I got Opus on 91, ChatGPT on 82.5, and on cost, I paid around $20 versus around $9. The closest the money got throughout all of the tests we did today. And on time, they're basically level from my point of view, 28 against 26 minutes. And that last bar actually matters because this is the only test where the judges actually agreed throughout all the tests we've been doing today, both within just a couple of points. And ChatGPT's own grader put the rival above its own by 8 points, so that's worth knowing based on what we talked about a little bit earlier in the video today. So I guess this is the actual money shot here. If we combine these scores from all 3 tests on time, cost, and the actual testing scores, as you can see on the screen here, Opus 5 won 3 out of 3 clean sweep on scoring by the LLMs. But on cost, however, GPT 5.6 Sol won by a massive margin at around $16 versus almost $100. And on total time, GPT 5.6 Sol delivered everything around 1 hour. It's going to be like 15 minutes more because of the retakes we had to do at the museum. But Opus came in around 6 hours, 20 minutes. So it's still about 1/6 of the time. So what does this actually mean for you? Which one do you pick? Do you want it cheap? Well, then it's ChatGPT. And honestly, it's not even close. Do you want it fast? It's still the same answer. ChatGPT 5.6 Sol is the clear winner. Do you want it right the first time without any iterations every single time? I'd probably go Opus 5. The museum is a pretty big argument for that one. And look, I really wanted Opus to win here because I use Claude. I'm already native in Claude. Even though I can point any LLM at my knowledge or second brain, it's still pretty nice to have my projects in Claude and just keep working there. But that's also the reason why I built every test blind, so I wasn't the one deciding the outcome here. I'm gonna stay on Claude even though it's more expensive, because at the end of the day we have subscriptions and we have tokens for free within our paid subscriptions. And of course the costs in these tests were purely on API cost. But it's still a preference. It's not a like 100% left or right answer here. And I think GPT 5.6 Sol did way better than I expected. And this is the part I want you to actually walk away with here, more than any score in this video. And I mentioned it in the previous slide, but I'll say it again, because my knowledge doesn't actually live inside of Claude. Even though I prefer the UI of Claude because I'm used to it as a non-technical person, my knowledge still sits in a folder locally on my laptop. So when something better turns up, I don't know, ChatGPT 6 Sol, I can just point that at the folder I have and it's just going to know everything about me from the get-go. And I think that's worth knowing. If that's a system you also want, I shared it in the description of my last video free of charge. So just search for my second brain video and you'll find it, or ask me in the comments below. I'll be happy to share that resource with you as well, so you can set up your own LLM agnostic system. So the one thing to do this week, or maybe even today, next time you finish up a big task with AI, don't just guess what it cost you. Go out and read the log and you'll actually find what it did cost you, and maybe it's cheaper than you thought, or maybe even more expensive. At least you'll know where your money goes. Oh, and right, before you go, the cost meter scale that I built is free of charge in the description below. So it's simply one paste or one prompt that you enter into Claude or ChatGPT, and it's going to create the skill for you, so that after you run a big task in either one of the LLMs or Kimi, K3 or whatever you use, this is going to read the log instead of just guessing what the cost was or what the token usage was when you're using Claude Cowork or ChatGPT Work, where you can't see the token usage or cost in real time. I tried it out multiple times, it works to the T, and it doesn't cost you anything to run. So that's 3 tests, 7 builds, 17 scores, and every cost read of a file instead of guessed or hallucinated. Opus won all 3 on score, but ChatGPT won most on cost and time. The cost meter scale is in the description below for free if you want to know what your work actually costs. I drop new videos every week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I'll see you then. Cheers!